Usually I have a disclaimer stating that I love the show, and that these videos represent my personal opinions, but you know what? I'm gonna save that for the end. What I will say though, is that if I seem extra picky in this review, it is out of passion for the finale to be the best it could be. So without further ado, let's get started with my review of Watching and Dreaming. We start straight off from where we left off in For the Future, and see each of the characters get lifted away by the Collector. I love the little detail of Willow reaching out to Hunter before she is whisked away. A blinding light encompasses Luz, and we see her back in the in-between realm, with the voice calling out to her, the voice turning out to be a Titan. While I do love the Titan's design in this shot, I don't get why Luz was back in this realm, considering what is needed to go there. If anyone has any ideas, tell me in the comments. We cut to Luz waking up in Belos' castle. She panics upon seeing where she is and what she is wearing. Luz wonders if this is a dream, when Stringbean comes out. Now, considering we know that this was the Collector messing with Luz, I found it odd that Stringbean somehow managed to weasel their way into Luz's hallucination. The only explanation I can really think of is that the Collector either simply forgot to remove them, which is kinda dumb, or did some 4D chess and purposefully put them there to make Luz think it was reality. Tell me what you think. Luz walks around the castle, and I want to point out that this picture may have been foreshadowing to what happens later in the episode. Luz makes it back to the same bridge we see from the Season 1 finale, and sees that everyone has been petrified, which, again, is a great callback to Season 1. Amity appears in a similar manner Ida did, and blames Luz for what has happened. I want to point out that Amity's outfit has changed to a previous design of hers, and we also see this with the other characters. This was probably done to make it worse for Luz, as it implies that Luz was the one who had changed, which is a really amazing detail. Luz pleads with Amity before fleeing, and states that this was a nightmare. Now, I don't want to come off as too picky, but this line implies that Luz knew this wasn't real, which obviously wasn't the case. They could have easily removed this line as well, but moving on. We cut to Ida waking up in the conformatorium, and I find it interesting how it was only her cell that was closed. Perhaps this is referencing Ida's fear of being alone and shutting herself in. Ida busts out only to be captured by a familiar-looking net. Lilith and Gwendolyn arrive, and Ida is relieved, only to find out that they betrayed her. Lilith states that dangerous beasts need to be kept in cages, and if it wasn't already clear, this is where the viewer should know that this wasn't real. Obviously, Lilith herself is also part owl beast, but neither Belos nor the Collector would have known, which is another great detail. Del then arrives, looking even more bloody than usual, and we cut to King. King sees some corpses and freaks out. Bill, the Titan Trapper, comes out and taunts King with the corpses of his family, and states that they saved the best spot for King. I'll let you know that the irony of King, who is voiced by Alex Hirsch, saying, "Bill, you crazy jerk," isn't lost on me. We cut to Luz running from Amity when she suddenly arrives in Willow's memory. Willow blames Luz for taking away her future, and Luz backs up into Gus. Gus then calls Luz a hypocrite, and I love the detail that the crowd are the side characters from Hexside. Gus claims that while everyone helped Luz, he has suffered because of her, and shoves her. Luz then falls beside Hunter, who is looking at a sculpture of Flapjack. Hunter is upset at the fact that Luz gets to have a palisman, asking why she gets to have it all. The Hexside gang arrives, and Amity challenges Luz to a witches battle. A witches battle. Luz realizes, again, that this wasn't real. Now, before I continue, I want to say that the voice acting of the Hexside gang during this scene was amazing. Seriously, the emotion they all had as they unfairly blamed Luz was perfect. My favorite one being this line.
Why, Luz? Why did you get to have it all?
I also want to point out that these nightmares fit each character perfectly. Luz is afraid of letting her friends down and seeing herself become the villain. Ida is afraid of being alone and forced to be under the control of someone else. And King, I'm actually not sure. I think the Titan Trappers were the first group that King thought was his family, or at least the first one to give him hope, only for that hope to be squashed right in front of him. Maybe he was scared of falling victim to them and joining his family. The gang preps to attack Luz before they are stopped by the Collector. They explain to Luz what is going on and how to snap out of the nightmare by turning on the light. I have mixed feelings about this scene. The Collector stopping the gang makes sense, as they probably didn't want any harm to befall Luz, and the metaphor of turning on the light to wake up from a nightmare was a genius way to call back the light glyph. However, I don't think I'm alone in saying that the Hexside gang going back to normal and having enough time to explain to Luz how to wake up and knowing how to do so was a bit too convenient. I like to think that the Collector and Bellows were arguing, which is why there was so much time for the gang to talk, but I can't really excuse the other stuff. And on top of all this, Amity very clearly doesn't have anything in her hand, but somehow hands Luz the light glyph. At the end of the video, I'll explain how I would have liked things to go, so be sure to stay for that. Luz uses the light glyph and wakes up, and we get the title screen, Watching and Dreaming. Luz sees King and Ida under a similar spell, and I just like to imagine how it would have looked with the Hexside gang bobbing up and down besides Luz as she was under the spell. Luz then frees Ida and King, and we get the heartfelt reunion we all have been waiting for so long. Meanwhile, the Collector and Bellows are arguing, with Bellows casually suggesting violence and the Collector refusing to do so. The Collector reveals to Bellows that King is a Titan, and also that his powers don't work on Titans, which I don't know how to feel as it very clearly worked just a minute ago. And if the Collector is suggesting that specifically violence doesn't work on King, well, how does he know? Has he tried it? Bellows tricks the Collector into playing with the three, and we cut back to them. They catch up, and we get a cute moment between Albert and Stringbean. Then the Collector arrives, and I like how hostile everyone initially was against him. They obviously had no idea Bellows was behind this, and would have thought that the Collector was the evil one. Ida points out that people nearly died during the draining spell, and the Collector acts a bit too casual about that. We then get hit with what is perhaps the rawest line in the entire show.
Do you not understand what death means to mortals?
The Collector brushes it off, and we cut to Bellows' possessed Rain, who is trying their best to get rid of Bellows, but their effort isn't enough. We then go into the archives, where we see the Hexside gang, and Amity's fingers starting to twitch. I feel that this implies that the people who are in puppet form are still conscious, and we see some more examples of this later in the episode. If this is true, then that really sucks for the characters who are trapped in puppet form. As for why Amity is the one whose fingers twitch, I like to think it is because she has the most resolve out of everyone. Again, tell me what you all think. We see a montage of some of the games the Collector plays with the three, and Luz realizes that something is off with the Collector. Luz attempts to talk to them, and we find their true intentions. They just wanted somebody who wouldn't lie to them. Everyone they've known, including their own siblings, misled or used him. We find out what happened to the other Titans, and I love the line,
Even when those trapper jerks started acting weird.
This implies that despite being worshipped as a god, the Collector didn't like it, which speaks volumes about their character. I also love how Luz doesn't even flinch as the Collector runs up to her, and she calmly speaks the truth. Luz then offers to show the Collector how they became friends, and we cut to Bellows' castle, where Rain finally manages to get rid of Bellows, but Bellows has already used him for what he needs. Rain realizes what's going on and runs after Bellows. Okay, real question. How the frick is Bellows so fast? And I don't get what the words "I'm done" are supposed to mean. Do any of you know? Bellows ambushes Rain and makes his way to the Titan's heart. Rain attempts to stop him, but is barely too late. Bellows then takes over the Titan's heart and consequently, the Boiling Isles. We then get... wait, what's that? I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'll also take this moment to say, if you enjoy this video, it would mean a lot if you could hit the like button and even possibly subscribe. Thank you! We cut back to Amity, who has finished making the light glyph. We see Lilith, and I like how Amity calls her Miss Lilith, as well as the fact that Lilith is not properly strung, which makes sense as she was recently used to torment Ida. The rest of the gang wake up and Steve, no! Gus sees Camila and asks Willow to help him get her down. Listen to the sound of their talismans. Doesn't it kind of sound like a lightsaber? We cut to the Owl House, where the group and Collector arrive. Luz explains her backstory, and I appreciate how she specifically mentions Owlbert. Luz shows the Collector that things weren't easy for her, and I like how the Collector gets focused on Grudgby. They basically are the equivalent of that one kid asking if you got games on your phone. They make their way to the Grudgy pitch, which is really well maintained. You gotta give Bartholomew credit where it's due. I love the little fourth wall break with the spin-off line. Hey Disney, are you listening? On a quick tangent, Watching and Dreaming hit over 2 million views on YouTube in its first day, which is incredible. Disney really did the show dirty, and I hope that they make it up in some way. The collector notices some students, and I love their maniacal smile as they ask to be buddies. It doesn't work out, and they all go to the mountains, to the very place Luz made her connection with the anaylze, and learned her second spell. We find out glyphs are actually Titan magic, which explains why they only work near Titan blood. Once again, really good writing. Luz explains how some people need kindness and forgiveness, when the collector realizes something is off. Sans makes a comeback and Luz realizes it is Bellows. We cut to the boiling aisles and chaos as Bellows takes over, and I absolutely love this callback to when Tinella Noza threw the rat out all the way back from season 1. I also love the implication that this is where Tinella lived this entire time. Bellows rises as a, whatever this is, and is happy that he can finally cleanse the perdition that is the boiling aisles. Bellows goes Godzilla mode for some time, while the group wonders how Bellows got there. The collector realizes what is happening, and knows what they have to do. They fly to Bellows, and make a final Wait, what? Usually I don't like it when humor immediately follows a tense scene, but I am so happy that the show did this. This was actually hilarious, and I love how even Bellows doesn't know what to make of it. But as the moment passes, and Bellows prepares to backstab the collector, Luz flies up to them and protects them, assuring that they did the right thing, only to notice that she too was hit. Bellows' attack slowly consumes Luz, and she slowly fades away into the night sky in a shower of light. The collector can't comprehend what happened, and we see everyone on the aisles watch in confusion as Luz's light rises. Camila, however, is the only one that seems to understand what happened. The collector tries to bring Luz back and is unable to do so. King and Ida have their Anne Boonchoi moment, and that is when the collector realizes Luz is really gone. The way Luz fades away, her final words to Ida King, and the cinematography was immaculate. While I wish some things were done differently, which again I'll state at the end of the video, I like how Luz's sacrifice was done, how it was represented, and how it represents her character. Luz ends up in the in-between realm, and I just want to say that out of all of the theories I've made, which I recommend checking out those videos, I really didn't expect my theory that the in-between realm was the afterlife to be true, but hey, I'll take it. Luz slowly drowns as she realizes what she should have said to Ida and King, but then someone pulls her out. The one and only Titan. I read a comment suggesting that this character should be named Monarch as it goes after King, and I really liked that idea. So from now on, I'm going to be referring to Papa Titan as Monarch. Monarch reveals that he is indeed the original Titan and King's father. Luz can't believe it, and Monarch can understand why. I love the conversation between Luz and Monarch as they discuss if they are as bad as Bellows. Luz feeling that she is as bad as the person she hates is extremely relatable, and I love how Monarch assures her that she isn't due to her intent. Monarch says that he doesn't have much time left as Bellows starts to consume him, and offers to sacrifice himself so Luz can go back to the demon realm. Luz accepts and asks if he has any words for King, and he tells her before he transforms into his true form and completes his sacrifice. For a character that was only introduced for 4 minutes, Monarch really left a lasting impression on me. I think that the fact that he has always been watching and knew everything that was going on separates him from the random stranger helping the main hero trope. Considering that he is also the second death in the show, I am in awe at how the writers managed to portray him in such a short amount of time. We cut to Gus holding the light glyph at Camila, and I love the subversion of making the viewer think it was Luz who was waking up, as she too closed her eyes in the previous scene. Camila asks where Luz is, and the gang's reaction is incredibly realistic. They all avert their eyes, with Hunter and Gus resting their hands on their head, a sign of self-comfort. Willow hugs herself tightly, and I think she is looking worryingly at Amity, who completely turns to the side and clutches her chest looking as if she is about to cry. I don't think they knew Luz was gone, but this was still incredibly well animated. Before they have a chance to answer, the building shakes and debris starts to fall. The gang tries to do magic but are unable to. Keeping in line with the realism, Camila states that they must all be exhausted. The gang asks what to do, and I want to point out that Amity does seem to know what happened to Luz, as when Hunter mentions her, she looks like she's about to cry again. But Camila ensures that doesn't happen and offers a solution to their woes. Can we get some Camila appreciation? Meanwhile, King and Ida are battling Titan Bellows, and the Collector desperately tries to plead with them. They don't know why nothing is working, when it is revealed that they too had been hit by Bellows. Now this next line emotionally destroyed me.
What is this stuff? Why won't it stop?
We now see that the Collector is truly just a kid who doesn't know how cruel the world can really be. I could honestly just go on and on about the Collector, but that's a video for another day. On another side note, since the Collector couldn't do their magic as they were hit by Bellows, does this mean they could have resurrected Luz? Bellows then launches an attack at the group, but Luz comes back with even more glory, and I love the group's reaction to her coming back. Personally, I didn't like the funny moment with Luz not knowing what to say. It was kinda funny, but I feel that it wasn't the best time to pull it off. Luz and the group attempt to fight Bellows, as the Collector goes to the archives to help everybody there, all the while still slowly being consumed by Bellows. The trio fight off Bellows, and I love how Luz isn't initially able to control her magic, as this is the first time she is doing so. Then, an entire storyline comes to an end, as Ida is finally able to teach magic to Luz as a real witch. I love Luz's determination and Ida's pride as Luz finally creates her first wild spell. Slowly, the trio fight back, and with a light spell, they successfully repeal Bellows. Meanwhile, back at the archives, the Hexside gang are rescuing the puppets, and I love this little moment between Amity and Willow, as the roles have reversed and Willow was the one to protect Amity. But then, Bellows is able to open the Titan mouth, and the castle starts to fall. But the Collector arrives and manages to prevent that from happening. Quick tangent, but when I saw this shot, all I could think of was Spider-Man holding the ship together. Anyone else? The trio realizes the only way to defeat Bellows was to separate him from the source of magic, that being the Titan Heart. Yet another great callback to Season 1, and I just love Ida's huge smile as she realizes this. The trio strike the beast, and we cut to Rain whistling his Rhapsody. The trio arrive, and Rain and Ida reunite. The quartet now make their way to Bellows, and I find it interesting how the writers decided to let Rain be the character that joins the trio. It was a good choice, but personally, I would have kept it to the three or made it so that more people came to fight Bellows. Also, this shot of Bellows makes it look like he is sticking his tongue out, and while editing this, I spent a good 5 minutes laughing at that realization. Luz makes her way back to Bellows and starts to separate him from the heart, with the help from the backup of the others. Bellows taunts her, but Luz taunts him back in the most Luz-like fashion possible, which is a good Witch Azura callback from the very first episode. This scene, I don't want to sound over the top, but this is literally the first time I've ever had my jaw drop. The closest time before that being that one scene from Amphibia's Season 2 finale, don't mention what it was. The way Luz's legs tremble while the others fight for her in the background. The way her powers start to break as Luz exerts everything she has. And the way her eyes light up, along with Bellows and the other creatures one by one, is so phenomenally done. The way all of the other characters are also shown doing their best, giving it their all to help Luz defeat Bellows, is portrayed so well. And the build up to that line, you know the line, is so well animated. The rage in Luz as she pulls Bellows out, and his shock is perfect. And just like that, Bellows no longer has control over the Titan, and everything that Bellows has corrupted turns to dust. I also love this moment when the Collector falls over from exhaustion, and the Hexside gang realizes that he is just a kid. The Collector's reaction to Amity makes it clear that they weren't sure if helping the group would make up for what they did to them. But the Collector still helped nonetheless, and that is just such good character writing. As the last of Bellows turns to dust, he makes a last-ditch effort to appeal to Luz, to run away and to live to fight another day. But Luz has had enough of him. The way she stares at him as he tries to influence her is chilling. Acid rain starts to fall, and Bellows starts to dissolve. The way Luz looks away makes me think that she felt bad for Bellows but knew what she had to do. Or she just found Bellows dissolving to be really disgusting. Bellows tries one last trick, but Luz simply steps away. Rain, Ida, and King arrive, and curb stomp him to death? Yeah, I didn't like that. It was satisfying, no doubt, but considering how even the slightest bit of Bellows goo meant he could still survive, yeah, there is no way he truly died. Also, the rain in the scene was a paid actor. Moving on, the Titan magic leaves Luz, and King's expression to finally see his father is great. Monarch's message to King makes his sacrifice even more heartbreaking, as it quite literally was the perfect thing to tell him. Luz then monologues about what happened after they defeated Bellows. Everyone's reunion was extremely heartwarming, and I can't believe that they actually included Odalia as well. We go to the Owl House, where the main group and the Hexide gang finally reunite. We also finally see Camila meet Ida, and King saying goodbye to the Collector was very sweet. However, Luz realizes that she can no longer do magic, but she's okay with it. She knew she was in a new chapter of her life, and looked to the future with a newfound sense of hope. We get to the end credits, which is a time skip. There are so many little details, which I may make a video on depending on how long it takes me to finish this one. However, I do have a genuine question. How the frick did Luz get into the University of Wild Magic despite being unable to do any magic herself? I have a feeling nepotism played a role here. Also, is this Masha? And is this Willow and Hunter's child? Anyway, I want to state that this ending is as close to a perfect happy ending the show could have gotten. I love how each character got their own happy ending, with Odalia presumed dead. I also love each character's new design and how each of the Hexide gang have a tattoo of Flapjack on them. I also like how Hunter's and Rain's faces are still scarred, showing that Bellows' literal toxicity would never leave them. But as long as they ignore it and accept that it isn't part of who they are, it doesn't matter. And finally, I absolutely love this fourth wall break, with "They're nearly gone," and the entire cast and characters saying bye to the viewer. The way this was done implies that we, the viewer, are Luz's gift, and that is an incredibly sweet thing for the show to have done. I'll even ignore the implications that we were controlled by the Collector this entire time. Anyway, with my review finally over after 8.5 pages of script, let's get started on what I think should have been done differently. Keep in mind that these are just my thoughts, and without any regard to realism, budget, and other factors like that. So let's get started. Firstly, I don't understand why Luz went to the in-between realm when the Collector nabbed her. Instead, I would have just made it a black screen, but I would still include the Titan yelling at Luz to wake up as a small jump scare. Secondly, I would have avoided putting stringbean in Luz's nightmare to make it even worse for Luz, and amplify the feeling of loneliness. I also would have simply removed Luz's line about this being a nightmare and immediately cut to Ida. Similarly, I would have immediately cut to King after Del was shown for more dramatic effect. Thirdly, you know what, I'll stop with the numbers. I would have drastically reduced the amount of time the gang had with Luz in her nightmare. I would have just made it so that they can only tell Luz she has to wake up by turning on the light before they were whisked away. Then, Luz would have to realize what she needs to do on her own and wake up. Next, I would have completely removed the part where the Collector plays with the trio, and instead leave that up to the viewer's imagination. For example, the Collector says their line, we cut to Rain, Bellows, and Amity, and then cut back to this part where the trio are released. I'm thinking maybe to include a single line like, "Who knew pinball could be so deadly?" or something like that. Now, the main reason I want to save time is because I feel that the fight against Bellows should have been longer. And I mean the actual fight, not Luz pulling Bellows like a stuck car jack. I've debated whether or not to say this, but For the Future is kind of to blame here considering how slow and little progression was made to the main story. We did not need character building for Basha and Kikimora. Moving on, when Rain and Bellows reach the castle, I would have made it so Bellows climbs the castle similar to how he climbed the Titan's tusks. At least it would then make sense as to how Bellows got there so fast, only to slowly crawl towards the heart at the very end. Then the part where Luz sacrifices herself didn't really work well. Luz told the collector that death is different for mortals, but still comes back almost immediately nonetheless. On top of that, her sacrifice was to protect the collector, but he still got hit as well, which to be fair, in the end really didn't amount to anything. If it were up to me, I would have made it so Luz pushes the collector out of the way and takes the full hit of Bellos' attack. Then, she would say goodbye to the others as she slowly fades away, which would really drive into the collector that this was final. When the collector would attempt to fix her, Ida or King would tell them that since it was the Titan's doing, nothing could be done, since collector magic doesn't work on Titans. Now, when Amity used her light spell, it woke up the entire Hexite gang, and we see that the light spell repels Bellos as well. With this in mind, when Luz turns to light, I would have made it so that her light protects the other people on the Isles. For example, New Hexite could be about to be overrun by Bellos, but then Luz's light stops it from consuming the students. Similarly, when Luz's light reaches the archive, it would wake up everybody in them. This way, it is portrayed that even in death, Luz still looked out for the people she cares about. Speaking of Luz's death, I found it really unique how the main protagonist died protecting someone they cared about and faded away in front of them, only to be resurrected by a godlike being. Nope, doesn't remind me of anything. Now for the main fight. Suppose the collector still got hit by Bellos. Imagine how cool it would have been if they were possessed by Bellos and the gang had to fight the collector. But let's keep the narrative that the collector wasn't hit by Bellos. Well, I wish that the first fight scene would have involved the entirety of the Boiling Isles fighting against Bellos. The collector, however, would be almost useless as, again, Bellos is a Titan, and hence they would have to play a more supporting role in the fight, thereby teaching him empathy and driving character growth. And finally, instead of just kicking Bellos to death, I would have made it so that those who suffered from Bellos, such as Hunter, Rain, or even Lilith, would defeat him with magic. A sweet and poetic justice for Bellos, and thereby ensuring that he is truly gone. Oh, I almost forgot! One last little thing I would add were some Hootie lines, because why didn't Hootie get any lines? Normally I would end the video there, which you have to admit is a pretty good way to end, but I want to say a few words before I end this video. The Owl House is an amazing show, and is what inspired me to start making YouTube videos in the first place. This show has managed to do so well against all odds, and I am sure that it will go down as one of the best pieces of media ever made. From its lessons, to its representation, to its writing. Every aspect of this show is immaculate, and I am so happy I got to experience it alongside millions of other people. Speaking of YouTube, if you hadn't seen my video on what's next for me, I'll give a quick summary. I'm not quitting, but there may be an increase in the amount of time between my videos as life is doing its thing where I get really busy. I'll be honest though, part of me wants to throw in the towel now that the show is over. The main reason being, editing sucks. And the worst part is I barely do any editing. Like, I just do a voiceover, put some clips on top that line up with the voiceover, and add some music. Sometimes I put in funny meme stuff or zoom in, but that's really it. On top of that, I'm worried that I'll get too focused on doing well on YouTube rather than my education. As cool as it would be to become a full-time YouTuber, realistically that won't be the case for me. But it's not all bad. I've experienced what it's like to make YouTube videos and to have an amazing community support me. And fun fact, I actually wanted to be a voice actor growing up, and making videos has actually helped me somewhat improve my skill. I've also gotten more confident in myself, and I am quite proud of the videos I put out. I don't see many other people talk about the things I do, and it makes me happy to see what I'm doing is unique and interesting, as evident by the 100,000 views I've gotten so far, and the over 630 subscribers as of this time. It blows my mind how many people have seen my videos, and I want to thank each and every one of you. I don't know what the future will hold, but at least for YouTube, I plan to continue making analysis videos on TV shows and plan to branch out to other shows now that the Owl House is over. If you've made it here, thank you all so much for listening, and comment banana. See ya!